So let's go ahead and today we're talking about changing markets and changing everything's changing, right? And how do you succeed in a changing market? So Kim, I'll let you go ahead since you were on first. Let's have you kick it off.
Cool. Yeah. So this is like I was just saying, it's going to be a fun call today because I'm excited to hear what everyone else talks about in their markets. The great part of this group here is that we can talk with experience from everyone across the country. So it's not just local in South Florida or California or Utah or Arizona or wherever it may be. Um, Down here in Florida, like Mitch was just saying here, we had obviously we were the highest inflated market during COVID. We went from the lowest to the highest in the entire country, which was incredible to work, especially if you're a buyer's agent. I mean, buyers obviously were paying whatever they had to or whatever they could with low interest rates, and prices were still low, close to the water, close to the beach. We had everything people wanted, and because of that, obviously prices inflated crazy amounts during COVID. And now we're seeing kind of the tail end of that, or the second half of the bell curve, where prices are in a steep decline. They've been in a steep decline since 2023, November 23, which also was, one of the things I don't talk about when I bring up the fact that we are kind of one of the leading markets in terms of price and kind of foreseeing what the rest of the country is going to go into, is that in November of 2023, we got hit by a huge hurricane. We got directly hit by a huge hurricane. Completely demolished our beaches. I mean, the beaches were 15 feet underwater. There was ocean waves coming across. It was like something that's only you see in Day After Tomorrow or the movies. So, after that, it really was the start or the catalyst to really the decline in our market, because the beaches were destroyed. People weren't investing down here like they had been during COVID. Tourists weren't coming down as much because obviously the beaches were still kind of beat up. And that really started, or it really kind of put a fire under the market down here and really made it so sellers had to decide if they wanted to sell, because the buyer activity just hasn't been as strong as it was during COVID. Now, since then, we have not seen a recovery. We are still going down that same path that started in the November 23. I think the Wall Street Journal last week classified my local market as the worst market in America. So that's kind of tells you that after the bell curve, it hasn't recovered. It hasn't popped back up. We haven't started going back up in any way, in terms of volume, in terms of sale price or average sale price. Everything is still on the negative downturn here for buyers. With that said, or for sellers, with that said, for buyers, the amazing part about this is that we're getting back to having a market that allows people, like normal people like you and I, guys, people are making 300, 400 grand a year, that are making a million, 2 million. Amherst International, they were the biggest buyer down here in all of Southwest Florida. They bought thousands of homes. Well, since then they've stopped and they're holding them, and a lot of them are sitting vacant because they bought them for long-term rental holds. They're not buying them for resale, so a lot of them has just sat vacant for the last 2 years. With that said, the sellers now, the individual sellers that we're working with directly, they're feeling the pinch. They are the ones that are actually the ones on the line, because they can't just write off $1.5 million in losses per year on their taxes. So they are starting to really feel that today. And now we're getting to the point where people that did purchase during COVID or right around the start of it, at 2018, 19, 20, the lead up, prices have come right back down to where they purchased. So now they are starting to feel some of the hot water. They're starting to feel some of that pressure. And they're having to make the decision if they want to own this home for the next 6 to 10 years, or if they want to get out of it for what they had in it, or, break even or bring some money to closing. We had a couple clients that have had to do that already. This is the choice that sellers are starting to make. So for all the agents that are on this call, or everybody watching the replay, I want to tell you that the best part of this is that we as agents are able to take advantage of the downturn in the market. So if your market hasn't started yet, or you're not seeing the price
Yeah.
decreases, that's okay. That's good. That means keep going the way that you're going. But when this does happen, just realize that you are able to really take advantage of it. How we're doing that, or how I've done that down here, is you're just being brutally honest with your sellers. My favorite analogy right now is you need to decide, because we can see the trend. We've seen this since 23. A lot of my sellers that are just deciding to sell now, we've been in contact for 8 months, 10 months, 12 months, right? They were saying, oh, the market will flip. It's going to get better. We're just going to hold it until it gets better. Well, I've been brutally honest with them for a year now, 2 years now, and they are understanding that this isn't going to be a quick turnaround. Just like Cam has been saying for the last, 6 to 12 months, you need to be expected to be in this for the long haul. And because I'm doing that, we have clients. I just sold a home 2 weekends ago that originally wanted to list in 2023 at 450,000. We just sold it for 280,000, you guys. That is the decline that we're seeing in these prices. But the gentleman that sold it decided, because I've been talking with him since COVID, I actually sold his neighbor's house too. But since I've been talking with him since COVID, he's been seeing these price updates. He's been getting my newsletter. He says, Cam, we need to do something with this money. We don't want to hold it forever. And we know we just theoretically, in his head, lost 100 grand. And what I explained to him is, no, you didn't lose it. The good news is that you can preserve what equity you have in it if you sell now. And I use this reference, and it's kind of brutal, you guys, but this is what I say. You have the choice right now. You're either going to be able to chop off your ankle. If you wait another 6 months, you're going to chop off your knee. If you wait another year, you're going to be underwater and you're going to have to chop off your whole leg, right? And that is a brutal, honest response that people have understood. They understand what's going on. They understand they've now kind of started to, let's say, give up that the market's going to have a miraculous recovery. They've given up on that hope that they've been holding on to for the last 12 months because of the internet or because of their own stubbornness. And they are having to make those hard decisions. With that said, the biggest thing you have to stay away from if you are going to continue to try to get listings in a true buyer's market is you can't be taking the sellers that are still in fantasy land. So many sellers still have that mindset. Oh, it's going to get better in 6 months. Oh, it's going to get better in... No, it's not, guys. This is what we're in. We're solidly turning into a buyer's market. We're in a full buyer's market now. You need to be able to be the best price, the best listed, and I can help you, right? This is my pitch, so to speak. I can help you be the best marketed, best looking, best home on the market, but you're going to have to make the decision to be the best priced home, right? So if you are focusing on listings, which I highly recommend, we're getting so many listings right now with expireds and for sub owners. It's growing right back into what it was in 2009, 10, 11, where we built this empire that we have down here. That's our bread and butter. We love people that are raising their hands saying they want to sell, but they just couldn't get the pricing right. It's an easy sale. It's an easy fix. It's something that everyone here can do. And it's really something that allows you to grow your business. With that said, the real moneymaker right now. So if you want to get a closing in 15 days, or you want to get, a cash in 25, 30 days, is you need to be out looking for buyers that are ready, willing, and able to buy in this market. What does that mean? That is people that have a reason to be moving. So they have a job that's coming down here. Their family lives down here, and they're so tired of being up north because they no longer have a reason to be up north, that they need to be down here for Florida specifically, right? That's one of the biggest things we hear is they want to be close to family. You need to have that reason that they are wanting to buy or sell. If they aren't, the best thing I think that you can tell your clients, at least for my market, which I have about 10 to 12 clients right now that we've been holding off on. They're actually on my whiteboard. I don't know if you can see it right behind me. But you're being honest with them. Hey guys, the market is in decline. The longer that we wait, the more options we're getting. And while that doesn't make it so that they buy right away, you have a client that is watching the market, working with you consistently. You're constantly sending them stuff, and they are seeing that you are the informed source. You're the one that's not trying to BS them. You're not trying to just stick them in a house. You're trying to find them the best house of what they're looking for. And our clients, or at least my clients that I'm working with, they love this, you guys. I have had we had 3 pendings in the last 2 weeks. It's all from people that I have been talking about this with since 23, saying, hey guys, no, hold on, just let's keep watching it. Let's keep watching it. And then finally, a lot of these are newer homes. The builders are finally lowering their prices down here, but they finally see that dream home that they've been looking at for 2 years, and it's come down by $100,000. And they're like, well, even if it keeps coming down, Cam, that's okay, because we're getting it at a great price, and we finally get to move into that dream home that we've been looking at. And that is something that allows those ready, willing, and able buyers to pull the trigger. It's not like it was in COVID, you guys. They're not just going crazy. They're wanting to watch. They're wanting to educate themselves. And you can be the resource for the person that helps them. You can be the person that is educating them and guiding them along their path, like it used to be. I mean, that's really, at least for down here in Florida, my average time frame from when I first spoke to a buyer client through online lead gen or through Facebook groups or whatever, through a Zillow lead, It was about 8 months. Like, it takes a long time down here because we are a second home market. That can be different for your market. If people want to move quicker because they need to move, that's awesome. That's incredible. But what I'm really teaching everybody, and it's really resonating with everyone for that's working with buyers, is don't have that commission breath. Don't be trying to go at it like you need to buy right now, right now. No, guys, I'm going to be here no matter what. I've been here 17 years. I'm going to be here for another 10, 20, 30 years. I'm going to make sure you find the best home for you. And that is creating that trust, that rapport with your buyers, that you're going to find them the best house when they are ready. I think that's the biggest thing to focus on. And I don't have a huge list here to talk about this stuff because I was really excited to hear everyone else on the panel. But the biggest thing I can really focus on is with your sellers, it's being brutally honest. It's telling them they need to get ahead of the bell curve. I even do this on a piece of paper. I draw a bell curve and I tell them we are here, right? So you can do this. Simple, right? You are here. We're going down. We're going down. The longer we are going down, the more you're going to lose. And that's going to be up to you guys. I cannot decide that for you. I know this isn't an ideal situation, but you need to make that decision. And if you don't, that's okay. 7 years from now, the market will recover just like it has every 7 to 10 year cycle, as long as you want to be in this home in 7 to 10 years. And that is something for the sellers that we're closing, the sellers that I'm putting on the market. My group down here still has a 7-day average days on market. Everyone else is like 130. The reason is because we're just not taking as many listings that simply won't sell. If we do that, you're just going to beat your head against the wall. You're going to have sellers that are unhappy with you. You're going to have to fight the old, pound them on the wall to try to get your price reductions every week. It's better still to take a underpriced listing and not take an overpriced listing, because you can spend that time looking for more listings that are pricing what I call underpriced or properly to the market. So that's what I got for you guys. Be hyper aggressive, tell the sellers the way it is, and then really start mining or start working with buyers. Get as many buyers as you can that want to talk with you, educate them, let them know that this isn't it doesn't have to be right now. Now, if we find the perfect home for them, this is a great time to do it. We're going to negotiate the heck out of it. But with that said, right, big but, that always means, but what I just said, disregard. I want you to be on the lookout. I want you to keep educating yourself. I want you to really become a market expert just like I am. And I'm going to give you all the information to do that. What that does, you guys, and it's going to be the last point here, so I know we got a bunch of great panelists. What that does, you guys, is that when you do come to them and you say, hey, Mitch, you won't believe this. I have an incredible buy for you right now. The guy just lowered it $150,000. We actually had one of these. A builder was listing these things at $650. He put one up for $435 because he had to get it off his books. Like, the guy was just like, had to get it off his books. Day 1, day 0, we got that baby under contract. And that's what you can do when your clients trust you. They didn't even have to look at it. They're in Ohio, but they were down here. They built the trust. They built the rapport. We've worked with them enough. They know that if I tell them it's a good deal, it's something they need to pull the trigger on, because I've been working with them for over a year and a half now, watching the market. And they did. We got it, pulled the trigger, got the deal. And they got a brand new house that is where they want to be, in the location they want to be, everything they want, because they've been able to wait and because, they followed my advice. And I think that's always the joke, right? Is that if the people would follow our advice and listen to us, they would always get what they want. And the battle is well, how can we help people that are stressed, or how can we help people that are, unsure of the direction? Because even as agents, the truth is we don't always know exactly where the direction is going. But how can we help build that trust so that when we do have that opportunity, they believe in us and they bite and they jump and they move right away? And I think it's just being brutally honest. It's letting people know where we are. And then it's also staying consistent with follow-up. I think that's something that everyone's going to talk here. Follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up. You can't talk to these people too much. And if you do tell them stuff like, hey, just letting you know the market's still going in the direction we talked about here 20 days ago or 30 days ago, just wanted to give you an update. How's everything going? You guys, that is the secret conversation. It's not trying to get them. It's just checking in with them, seeing how they're feeling, seeing what they're thinking. And then when they're ready, or when you finally get that deal that they're looking for, they're able to snap it up. So those are my big tips right now that are working for us. I'm really excited to hear the rest of the panel today.
Let's go over to Matty with his patiently having his hand raised there.
Well, I love what Cameron was saying about expires, because I did a whole call on Tuesday on our listing mastery call. I did a whole call on expired. So I wanted, because again, like here in San Diego, we really did not have expireds for like 2 or 3 years. And now finally they're back. So they're a great source of business. So I wanted to ask Cameron. Cameron, how do you follow up? How do you go after expireds in your market? Do you cold call them? Do you direct mail them? Do you do all of the above? Do you text them? I'm just curious, and then I'll say what I'm going to say.
Yeah, great question. So our cadence for following up with expireds is day one, we try to get 2 calls per each new expired. That's like the holy grail. Is if you can call them twice, send them a video text in between or send them a video text before you call them. But 2 calls in that first day because 99% of them don't answer at 8 to 9 a.m. That's just the truth. But we found that like 50% of those people that don't answer at 4 to 5 p.m., they do answer then. Or if you really, it depends how hungry you are, right? If you want to make this work, call 100 people today. Talk to literally 25 people today, and you'll get a listing appointment every single day. With that said, the challenges for a lot of us is that we don't have 100 expireds to call. So it's kind of hard to spend, 6, 7, 8 hours dialing. But the most efficient way is call them. The second day, we send them just a basic text that's saying, hey, I know I missed you yesterday. I really wanted to talk to you about, see if you still wanted to sell your house. Extremely vague texts, extremely vague conversations when they're not on the phone, because you're just trying to get them to reply back to you and say, yeah, I'd still be open to selling it. Do you have a buyer? That's really what you're trying to say, right? Well, I don't know if I have a buyer. I have to come see your house because your last agent didn't market it well enough. When can I come out and see it? That's the hook. That's the hook. I don't know if I have a buyer because I haven't seen it. We sold $250 million last year. I'm sure I probably do, but I need to come see your house. Can I do it this afternoon? Are you available? And then shut up and let them talk, you guys. The key with expired calls is you make really bold statements and then you let them talk. And a lot of the times they'll you'll say that and they'll go, don't say anything. Don't say anything. It's awkward. It kind of feels weird. You're waiting for it. But if you don't say anything, 9 times out of 10, the pressure that you just put on them by saying that you sold a lot, you don't know if you have a buyer, but you very well might. And the reason that you haven't seen it in the past is because the last agent didn't do a very good job marketing it. When could you come out? There's a lot of pressure in that statement. And when you do that, they always say, if you have a buyer, you can come out and look at it. Well, great. So you still want to sell is what you're saying. Yep. You still want to sell. Great. I'll be out there this afternoon. Set the appointment first. This is a big key. So set the appointment first. Doesn't matter what they say. Set the appointment. Set the appointment. That's the only reason for the call. Once you set the appointment, reel it back in, and you can say, hey, before I let you go, I just had a couple quick questions. Do you mind if I ask those for you? And they'll go, I don't really want to talk to you anymore, but sure. That's what their head says, and you can hear it in the tone. They don't really want to talk. Well, I just want to see if when I do come out, if price is right, if looks right, would you be open to relisting this home? Because it sounds like you still do want to sell it, correct? And that's an old change on, I don't remember who did that one. It might have been,
Mike Ferry.
Was it Mike Ferry's? It was an old change on that I just kind of customized over time because everyone hears that same thing. If when I come out, what I say makes sense. Like, no. If the price I say makes sense and it sounds like something, plus, you sound like I could help you sell this home, is that something that you'd be willing to do, or is that something that you're interested in doing? You got to get the confirmation, because if you guys just go out and tour unlisted homes, which they will have you do, I promise, sellers will definitely have you come out and just let you tour their home. You're going to be spending a lot of time driving around and not getting listings. You have to then pre-qualify down, figure out where they're going. What do they owe? What are they really trying to do? If they can't sell it, what are they going to do? There's lots of pre-qual questions. For everyone though on this call, it doesn't matter. Don't even worry about that. Just get the frickin' appointments. Go out on those listing appointments. You're going to get so much confidence. You're going to get so much experience. You're going to be able to start growing the business just by going out on those appointments. And then when you're out on those appointments, you guys, I highly recommend after your appointment, no matter you get it or not, go around and knock on the doors around there and be like, hey, just want to let you know, I was down here helping the neighbor. I'm a real estate agent, just down here helping the neighbor. I'm trying to find someone in the neighborhood that absolutely loves it. How long have you been here? And they'll go, oh, we love it here, of course. How long have you been here? 10 years. Do you know anyone else looking to try to move into the community? And they go, no one from school or church or no. Well, hey, let me give you my card, and we're going to be doing a broker's open here, or a open house here this weekend. I would love for you to stop by. And that gives you that first ding of leaving something that you shows value. I don't have a door hanger here, but give them one of your door hangers, give it to them personally. And that way they have your value stack. This is everything that you do. This is all of your, all the big money stuff that is the Battiata team, or, the Stout team, or whatever it is. You can give that to them and they can have that in them, have that with them. That is how we're turning 3 to 1, right? So every one listing, we're trying to turn into 3 sales, and we're doing that by door knocking our surrounding areas. Even if you don't get the listing, you didn't have to say you just listed the home. You just tell them that you were just helping the guy down the street. Go ahead.
All right, Matty, you're up, bud.
Cam
All
with the
right, I think that's
caffeine.
awesome.
Get it, Kim. Nice.
Right?
So one thing, yeah. So we did a whole hour-long call on Tuesday all about expireds, and my first year in real estate, I was a brand new agent in a brand new area. I just moved to San Diego. I didn't know a soul here. I called expireds and canceleds and FISBOs every morning because that's what I was told to do. And I sold 40 homes my first year in real estate. Every one of them came from expireds, which basically from expired listings. So everybody on this call should be, if you want listings, you should be going after expireds because they do exist. And I wanted to mention one thing that I thought of when Cameron, that was awesome, Cam, by the way. But I used to do seminars and I still do on what's going on with the market because that's what everybody wants to know. Where's the market going? Timing the market, etc. And to help explain it to people, I came up with this analogy that real estate markets are like a giant oil tanker out in the ocean. You can turn off the engines and turn off the propellers, but they don't stop on a dime, right? They get momentum and they drift. So that's the way when markets change. You could say that this market, we turned off the engines and the propellers in 2022, 2023, right? But here in San Diego, it's still kind of drifting. The market's still appreciating. But eventually it's going to stop and it's going to turn around and we're going to start going the other direction. And that's a really good way to describe it to sellers because sellers, nobody likes to admit that the market is changing. Nobody likes to believe that that values are going to go down, although it is 100% inevitable in every market. Nothing goes up forever. And so that's a good way. I had an appointment with a seller yesterday, and he literally thinks his house is worth $1 million more than it's actually worth. Probably $1.5 million more than it's actually worth. Now, taking a listing like that is an exercise in futility. So it's critical when the market becomes more of a buyer's market. It's absolutely critical to take listings at the right price. And you have to have a very candid conversation with the seller. And because in a lot of cases, the seller has been lied to by other agents. So he or she has interviewed other agents and they know what that seller wants to hear. And so they tell them the house is worth more than it's worth to try to get the listing. So you have to have the conversation with sellers saying, listen, I understand that you've been told by other agents that your house is worth X amount. And I know you're not going to like it when I tell you it's worth much less than that. But let me explain to you why the other agents are giving you these inflated numbers. It's called buying a listing, and agents do it every day, unfortunately. And sadly, you're the one that's going to suffer the consequences of it. So let me explain. We agents, we know you're interviewing 2, 3, 4 agents to sell your home. Most of the agents out there that you're talking to, they sell 3 or 4 homes a year, which means that the commission that they're going to earn from selling your home is worth a quarter to a third of their annual income, which means they're desperate to get your listing. And they know that if they tell you a really high number, which is what you want to hear, that you're going to like them better. And you may go with them because you think that they believe in your house. When in reality, they either don't know better, number one, or number two, they do know better, and they're purposely giving you an inflated value of your home so that you'll choose them. And then what they're going to do is they're going to wait 3 weeks or 30 days, and then they're going to call you up and say, gee, guess what? The market's not doing what we thought it would do. It's not supporting the price, and we got to drop the price. And now you're going to have lost all of your momentum because you've been on the market for at least 30 days, and you're going to start dropping the price. And depending on how much you overpriced your home, you're just going to be chasing the market down because every sale is going to be lower than the one that preceded it. So that's my point, is that yes, everybody on this call should be going after expireds and cancels and for sale by owners. And you have to be brutally honest. And sellers actually really like when you have a candid conversation with them and tell them why their house is worth what it's worth, and be honest and say things like, you didn't have me over here to lie to you. You had me over to tell you the truth and advise you, and that's what I'm doing. So it's not hard to get listings at the right price. You just have to really level with sellers and have a real come to Jesus talk about it.
Yeah, that's
But
great.
anyway, markets change. They do change slowly. So just because prices don't immediately drop, people think, oh, the market might go back up. No. Here
Yeah,
in
we call
Southern
it chase.
California, we're in a 13-year run up. So we're going to have a correction. Go
We are
ahead.
here. It's just chasing the market down. I've seen it so many times over the past couple of downturns, right? Let's go over to Mr. Brian Moses. Good to see you, Brian.
Hey, how are you?
Doing great.
Good to see everybody. I had a hole in my schedule, so I thought I'd hop on. Good stuff. I am not a fan of chasing prospects or prospecting, door knocking, cold calling. It's a great source of business. I like it better, though, when people reach out to me and say, hey, so I've mastered direct response marketing. For expireds, I like taking the printout of the expired, highlighting it with red magic markers, question marks, arrows, like a school teacher giving you an F on your paper. And then I put a sticky note on it and say, I know why your home didn't sell. Would you like my input? Call me. I want to help. That works really great. Then they call you back. Now you're having a conversation from a position of authority versus just being another agent that's reaching out. So give that a shot. It'll work really, really well for you. The other thing that I'd like to add is everything Cam and Matt said is absolutely spot on. But if you cannot, what will differentiate yourself from other agents is not telling them what their house is worth, but getting them to tell you what their house is worth. And you can do that by, asking questions. As an industry, we need to do a better job of engaging the prospect. We do too much talking, too much presenting. And unfortunately, it took me many years to learn that the public has no respect for us. Even the best in the business, they're thinking, okay, you just want to get a fast sale. That's what's going on in their head. So when a seller says, hey, the other agent told me $1.5 million, Matt, more for my house, everything you said is right, but having that conversation, there's still going to be that little doubt. So I'd ask the question, okay, I appreciate that feedback. Are you going to choose your agent because of the price they give you? See, asking the question gets them to come to their own conclusion as to how fucking stupid that would be. Are you going to pick your agent based on the price they're going to give you? Because if that's the case, how does 50 million sound? See, price is a function of supply and demand, and it's dictated by the market. Can I show you the market? Notice, put question marks at the end. Can I show you the market? This home, it's really not difficult to price properties, Mr. Seller. Some homes are bigger, some homes are newer, some homes are older. So if a home is inferior to your property, your home would be worth less or more than the subject property that we're comparing it to. So I'm engaging the seller. So then I show them properties. The first property I'm going to show them is going to piss them off. It's going to be the low end of the range. I'm going to go from low to high. I'm not doing a CMA. I'm showing them a recent sale. And they're going to go, I would never sell my house for this. Hey, I'm not suggesting you do. Remember what I said earlier? Some homes are bigger, some homes are older, some homes are newer. This home is inferior to yours. Can we go on to the next one? Question, can we go on to the next one? Yes. We go on to the next one. We go on to the next one. By the time I get to the fifth property, it's very comparable in size, age, condition, square footage. It's not identical. And I go, based on these properties that have recently sold, where does it look like the top of the market is? And they say, looks like the top of the market is 2 million. That's $1.5 million less than what Keller Williams told you. So all good stuff. I would just add more questions, get them to come to their conclusions. When they come up with the conclusion, they don't doubt you because it's their answer. So I hope that helps. Appreciate it. Good to see you
Yeah,
all.
thanks, Brian. It's awesome. And I'll throw something on there. One thing I learned, um, it's not 100% on this, by the way, but I always look on Zillow and see what the price is on Zillow because I know that's what they did. So when I'll ask him that same question about, so what do you think your house is worth? It's almost, because I know ahead of time if they say it's higher than the Zillow one, or they say the Zillow price, I know it's high. I gotta do my work. If they said if it comes in $50,000 lower, like for instance, my house on Zillow is $100,000 lower than the value. And so if I went to me and I saw my house for 5.25, and I know it's 6.25, I say, well, I got some good news. I know you think it's only worth 5.25, but it's actually worth 6.25. Now I'm the hero, right? But yeah, it's all questions. That's awesome, Brian. Love it. Let's go over to Ross.
What's up, everybody? Good to see you. And thanks for all your input. I love hearing from you guys. What's up? For me, I guess when we're talking about buyers in a changing market, that's kind of what my group's focused on. And Cam's approach on waiting and setting that, like, that's how I operate. That's how Cam operates, how Matt, Brian, that's how we all operate. I'm dealing with people that need to make a sale tomorrow. My agents need to put food on the table. So how do we find a way to do that? So the question like that I posed was, waiting is great, but agents need to sell now. And how do they do that? So 3 things: we need to find motivation, we need to find the challenge, and then we need to find solutions. So on the buyer side, when we're talking about finding motivation, these are these questions that all these great agents are talking about. Posing questions to let them tell you exactly what they need out of this situation. Motivation is the number one thing that we're missing because, like you guys have been saying, we have commission breath. We got to make a sale. It's on our time, not yours, because look, dude, I got $100 in my account and I got to make this happen. So we have to avoid that action and continually give excellent service and make it all about them. And I'm not saying that's how you guys operate on this call who are watching, but the fact is, like, I'm talking to a lot of people right now who are like, I'm going to have to get out of the industry if I don't sell a house this week. You know, it's a reality. So here's what you do. You find their motivation. If you're talking to me, what do I need? I need a good school district. I need a lot of bedrooms because me and my wife were crazy and had more kids than we are people. Like Matt's really crazy. But you know, you're finding those key points and then you're like, okay, cool. Like, what are you in right now? You're in a 2-bedroom, 6 kids. You got to move. Like, this is what you have to do. Have these conversations. And while you're doing it, you're building rapport the way you do it. Mitch likes to make jokes. I like to be snarky. You know, everyone has their way they sell, and they're going to like you for that. Have those conversations, find that motivation, and that's really the key. Find their challenge, right? So what is keeping you from buying? Because it sounds like you are truly motivated. Oh, these rates. Oh, you know, could you imagine having a $5,000 mortgage in today's economy? Like, I got cut back in my job. Like, there's so many negative things that are happening, but those challenges make you able to be the hero. Because number 3 is we're going to find solutions. The rates. We just had a lender cover $23,000 of closing costs out of pocket for our buyers with a rate buy down and covered the majority of their closing costs. And like those are solutions you can find. Make those connections today. If you don't have a lender who can do that, hit the phones. That should be your cold call session. Find a lender. Call one of us. We'll give you a solution for that. But financing is probably going to be the number 1 challenge in today's market. And if you guys aren't well versed on it or have somebody that you can refer over in a heartbeat to meet that expectation or that to give that solution in that moment, then you're doing your clients a disservice because that's what we need to have in our ammo for them. So motivation, challenges, solutions, and all of us could talk on and on about that, but I'll just move over to my seller side. And I didn't grow in the industry as a listing agent, all of my listings have come from working with buyers. So I worked with buyers, I solidified my relationship, and then that's how then they just call me. And so I'm not really out hunting for sellers, but as I'm having these conversations with people, like here's the narrative, like you guys have been saying, now is not a great time to sell. Is that right or right? Like now is not a great time to sell. You're not going to get what you could have gotten 3 years ago. You're not going to get what you could get possibly in the future. But what we have to do is we need to explain their challenges, set expectations, and then set a very clear path and why we're unique to the market for to be able to sell their home. So what are their challenges? The market sucks. I mean, we all know that, right? It's difficult. People aren't motivated. There's not a lot of inventory and there's not a lot of sales. It's a lose-lose deal, right? And in most markets, especially in a lot of the markets that I've been dealing with, second home people, how do you find that motivation, right? Hey, want to spend some extra money that you don't need to spend? Like, that's a fun conversation. But this is what we're telling our sellers. We're setting these expectations up front, because when we get to price and they're wanting to set expectations at top of market and days on market are our enemy, we have to set those expectations. And like you guys have been saying, we're not in the business of listing homes. We're in the business of selling homes. And if you lose a listing because you're honest, like, that's the way the world goes. And then sometimes, like, and one guy I used to work with, he said, the second wife always wins. You know, you come in as a second realtor and you get everything. You get the price, you get everything you want because they already failed. So that's a great way to set those expectations up front, be genuine, because if you lose the first time, it's not that you lost, it's just they're going to come back to you. Like, you were the one that got away. So make sure that you're setting those correct expectations and explaining their challenges, and then setting a clear path. Let them know exactly what you're going to do for them. If they can see your roadmap and your communication is clear along the way and they know exactly what they're going to do for you, not only are you going to get your price, you're going to get your professional fee at 3% or above, because they're wowed at what you're going to do, because everyone else just says, hey, you know, like, I work for Keller Williams. What else do you want? That's kind of where people will hang their hat on, is a brand that does nothing for them. We need to set ourselves apart as a unique opportunity for them. So develop that, whether it's a USP, whether it's a promise, whether it's a guarantee, whatever it is, set yourself apart. You don't have to lead with that, but it's always like, hey, you know, like, does the other people you talk to offer this? And the answer is going to be no, because it's your unique. So dominate the market in that fashion. That's how you can get people to act now. Because honestly, yeah, we want what's best for our clients, right? But a lot of times, what's best for our clients is having to act now. And they can get a great price still. We will find relief in other areas to make financial sense along the way, because our partnership doesn't end now. Right? We're with you for the life of your home ownership, because I'm going to sell it for you. I'm going to help you refi. I'm going to help you navigate this market as we move along. So our relationship doesn't end. It's just the beginning after we close, and I'm going to help you be very successful along the way. So that's all I got today.
That's great. So I like that line there, Russ. We're not just going to help you buy the house, but we're going to be here when you want to refinance. You know, setting the stage for the creating that customer for life, which is what right. It's awesome. Good stuff. Mr. Yabor.
Good morning. Is this working? I had a complaint. Somebody couldn't hear me. Oh,
Yep.
Sweet. All right. First of all, I have to say, this isn't the most heavily attended panel meeting, but this one should go viral and have 1 million views, because some of the stuff that the gold that has been given already in this is amazing. And just a snippet from Mr. Moses, talking so candidly is awesome. So thanks, guys. All right. I wrote down some ninja stuff real quick. I love this topic. 20 years ago, I had this listing for 1.8 million out in this little town called Alpine, California. And I had this buyer's agent from Matt Battiata show up with an all-cash offer for 1.3 million on a $1.8 million listing. That was worth every penny of 1.8 million. Matt's client was a seller who sold to an Indian tribe all cash. She ended up with a lot of money for her horse ranch. The buyer's agent shows up and hands me the offer, Matt. I can't remember his name, but he was with you a long time back then in the mid 2000s. And here's the script he gave me. Brian, we're $500,000 before your asking price. Will you please tell your seller that my client is so serious about her offer, she's going to wait around and let him go out and just take advantage of some other seller like I'm taking advantage of him right now. Just tell him don't even to pay attention to my offer until he goes out and just goes and makes a bunch of nasty, aggressive offers in this marketplace, because that's the market we're in. And you know what he said to me? He said, well, it's either that or I'm going to punch you, because he was so mad at the offer that he said, all right, let's go. So I took him shopping, and he found a property that was one of my listings in Alpine for $1.4 million. But he said, Brian, I don't like that price. I have to sell mine for 1.3 all cash. I want to make $100,000. So I'm going to offer him 1.2, but I'll do the same thing. I'll give him 1.2 cash, just like she's giving me 1.3 cash. So I have $100,000 to move my family, and I'm going to take advantage of your seller. So you go present that offer to him, and I'll write it up if he'll take it. So I went to these clients. They were my listing. They were moving to Boise, Idaho. They had bought a development deal. They were going to move and build houses. I offered 1.2. I took a 4% commission on that price. They said yes. They took his 1.2. He took Matt's client at 1.3. And I round tripped 3 properties, almost did $4 million in one transaction that was a little domino in one of the worst markets that we had in San Diego. So that's an example of what can happen in a very aggressive, bad market. The goal for everybody in this market is to understand where the seller is going. Why are they selling? And then get them in the mindset that says, listen, where do you want to be when this market turns? And what's stopping you from getting to where you want to go? Because if selling your home is what's keeping you from your new dream, then why are you holding on to a trend that's going in the opposite direction? You've got to choose. I wrote that down. That was one of the things here. Sellers need to agree in the trends happening in their neighborhood. Is the listing price per square foot going up or going down right now? And if it's going down, then you have to look at what's active. You don't use what's sold anymore. Your pendings are going to close less than what they're asking. Your asking prices, if their trend is asking per square foot lower than all the other comps, then you don't use the comps like a traditional appraiser will. You got to start looking at what other sellers are asking per square foot, because when those sell, they're selling undervalue right now. It's the opposite, right? So you can identify a trend, but you have to let them agree to the trend. They have to choose the trend. So where do you want to be when this market turns, and what's going on in the marketplace where you're moving to? Are you buying for security or for investment? That's a good one for buyers right now, because if a buyer's buying for security, then that means they don't have an exit strategy. That means they can overpay in a down market because they're not going anywhere, because like we all heard, it's going to correct again. And when it does correct, where do you want to be when it corrects? So getting in now at a price might be the best thing you can do. It might feel like you're overpaying, but who cares when it doubles in price in 7 or 8 years? That's never been a trend. I think it's Craig Lurch always says you're dating the mortgage, but you're marrying the house, right? So this is a dating opportunity right now in a market, okay? And the last thing is on the expireds. I taught my wife this, actually a coach out of North Carolina that was it was not Mike Ferry, but it was a Tom Ferry, gave my wife this script. She said, Leanne, you call every expired listing and you tell them one thing. Now, I'm gonna verbatim tell you this. Says we sell a lot of homes. So hi, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. We sell a lot of homes, and unfortunately, we didn't see your home while it was on the market. It was in the active market for like 6 months, and we didn't even see it. I would love to add it to our pre-approved buyer list of homes. Can we stop by later today or tomorrow and take a few pictures and get some details on the house? Right? That's all you want to do, is you want to get an appointment to get in there. you are not calling for a listing because chances are you don't want this listing. That's the reality, right? But here's what happened. Every time she went to a home, every time she was there, she took a camera, she took pictures. Less is more. She would say less, add it to the list of pre-approved buyer houses, and start to leave and say, thank you for letting us stop by. 90% of the time, the seller would say, hey, while you're here, do you list homes? And she would say, well, yes, we sell a lot of homes, but I'm not here for a listing. I do have a listing agent. I could call him, right? She would call me, put me on a speakerphone. I would talk to the seller and I would ask a few questions. And most of the time, Leanne would come back with the listing on a conversation. And then I would go back and do all of the listing part. It was how I was getting listing appointments, basically from expireds. But she would go do what she was supposed to do. So if you have a buyer's agent or an intern or somebody who's not even licensed and you want to just send them out to take pictures and say, yes, we do list a lot of homes, but that's not why we're here today. That's how you get your foot in the door, because they are used to people wanting to just take a listing, take a listing, take a listing. We didn't want the listing unless they were wanting to have us. So it's kind of like what Brian Moses was saying. This flipped the script. This put us in charge. We would do an evaluation, we would look at it, and then we would set the stage to come back, and we wouldn't have to beat them up, so to speak. We would actually come in knowing that we're going to price it probably more aggressive than they would have priced it had we reached out to them on a more of a listing appointment. So I think that's it. Those were really the hot topics that I wanted to touch on. Yeah.
All right, cool. Awesome. Thank you. Dave Lawson, are you there? I see your blank face, so I don't know. All right, well, I'll talk if Dave comes back, and I'll talk for a couple minutes. So all great stuff. I look at things a little bit differently, I think, than a lot of people. And I'll give you a quick background on it. So 2006, January 2006, is when the market first started crashing here in Florida. We were actually the first county in the country to go down. And we were also the highest rising county in the country to go up back in 2004 and 5. So I had 100 listings, my brokerage at the time, and none of them sold for like 4 or 5 months. And I was getting yelled at by consumers every day because the realtors stopped answering the phones. And so I finally made a decision to stop taking listings. And everybody in the industry told me I was going to go out of business. And I said, look, we're going to, for the next foreseeable future, become a buyer brokerage. And so while everybody else was going out of business because they had too much inventory and nothing was selling, I think we had 11,000 single family homes at some point there. We grew 20% a year. So in fact, every broker that told me that we were going to go out of business called me and said, Mitch, what do I got to do to get your agents to show our properties? We had just tons of buyer leads. So when you're looking at your business, you may want to transform more toward a buyer mentality at this point, if you're in a market that's going down like we are here in several states. So how do you get buyers that are actively looking today? Open houses. So I'm not going to talk about how to do open houses today or any of that stuff, but open houses generally will put you in front of people that are looking to buy or sell today. All right, so I would definitely be looking at that aspect of your business to do that. Now, with regards to listings, the other thing, and I'll talk about this, I think we're going to do maybe the next week or two, we're going to do a for sale by owner and expired listing class where we just concentrate on that completely. I think it's really important. But for sale by owners are really, really simple. And I use, Brian, your type of stuff. I go to for sale by owner, I don't ever call. I've never called it expired. I've never called it for sale by owner. I have a 75% close rate on for sale by owners. But what I did is I just walk up the door, knock on the door, and I say, hey, my name is Mitch with eXp Realty. Before you say anything, I'm not here to list your house. It's called breaking the pattern. They just kind of look at you with this blank stare going, what do you mean? I go, do you have a seller's disclosure? And I've never come across a for sale by owner that has a seller's disclosure. And then I said, do you understand that if you do not disclose something wrong with the property, that you can literally be sued at any time in the next 5 years if they find something you didn't disclose? I didn't know. So then I give them a seller's disclosure. I've never not been invited into the house. every single time. And then I walk around the house and give them tips on selling their home. Never once ask for the listing, right? And there's a lot more. I'm not going to go into it. We'll do this in a class, but there's a lot more to it. But it gets you in the door to for sale by owners because everybody else is calling up and saying, list with me, I'm the best in the world, list with me, right? Or, I personally had a for sale by owner for myself when I was selling it right before I got real estate. Then I listed it for a week, then I rented it, and nobody knew who I was. And can't tell you how many letters that I got from people telling me how much. Oh, Mitch, we don't even know who that guy is. He must really suck as a realtor because I lived in a realtor for a week. And I'm like reading all these letters that I'm getting made out to the ex-owner because I only owned the home for like 2 weeks at that point. So it had switched over to the tax roll. So anyways, I would never have listed with a realtor at that point because of how obnoxious realtors were. So just my thoughts. All right, so that's all I really got. But Dave, why don't you go ahead and take over, bud?
Hey, thanks. I can't agree with everybody else. I could just repeat pretty much everything everybody already said, but I won't. So I'm just going to add just a very few things. First of all, I'm going to start with this. 25 years ago, my coach, John Zanino, said, you should wake up every day and pray for a real estate recession. Pray for a real estate downturn. And everyone's like, well, why, right? Well, the thing is, during COVID, what did you need to sell a house? You basically needed a heartbeat and a real estate license. That was it, right? The clients didn't really need us. Do they need us now, Cam? Do they need us now, Brian? Do they need us now, Ross? Everyone is, yes, this is the time for us to shine in the real estate business. And like, Cam was saying, tell the truth, do the right thing. I love what some of you guys said. I have a thing, service first, sell second, right? If you help the client, it's biblically, right? If you help the client, then they're going to want to help you, right? Yeah, one of my mottos is if you always do what's right for the client, in the end, you win, right? The other thing is right now, I think clients need us in the vast majority of the markets in the United States more than they have for 6 years, maybe 5 years. And now in my market in Park City, it's about flat. Some markets are up, some are slightly down, but it is definitely not like become a buyer's market. The Salt Lake City market that we're in and the Wasatch Back, that market, it's still appreciating. So just because Cam is way down in southern or in Florida doesn't mean that all markets are. So you need to obviously know your market, right? The other thing is I went back in 2009 or 10, and I wrote and I toured around and I taught this at a lot of real estate offices. It was called Increasing Your Market Share in a Declining Market. And if I had an hour and a half, I'd tell you all about that, right? And what to do. And you know what? What I wrote in 2008 and 9 and what I toured on, 90% of it is still the true today, right? The other thing is, and a couple of things I can tell you is the best. So who thinks real estate's competitive, right? Everybody's going to say yes, right? But I can tell you that the real estate market is way less competitive now than it was 2 or 3 years ago. And the reason why is there's 70% of the agents in the country, they're out of a job. They've quit the business. Just no one's told them yet, right? But if you sold 0 or you've sold 1 home, you're out of the business, right? What if you sold 2 or 3? At 2 or 3, you're living at poverty level, right? You got to sell 6 homes in most markets just to basically make a living, right? And then what a lot of you guys said is, and you gave some examples of what you can say, what you can do, techniques and tricks and scripts. And if you guys don't listen to these and take notes and use them, you're making a big mistake. I teach the people on my team because they're required to do follow-up and calls every day. And I said, there's only two ways to increase your business. Basically, you can double the amount of phone calls you make, or you can get twice as good at talking to people. Right? So what do you want to do? You know, you have the discipline of studying sales and getting better, or do you have the discipline of just hammering out more calls? Hi, my name is David Lawson. Do you want to sell your house? Guess what? That works. Just hardly ever, right? You know, so you just have to learn. I mean, and so the buyers that out there, there's just little things you can do. So who wants to be picked on? Ross? Okay, Ross. Okay, Ross. So you're looking at a home, Ross. So you're living in a 2-bedroom and you have 5 kids. Let me ask you a question. How important is it for you to find a house that is going to fit your family's needs?
Very important for my sanity.
Great. Yeah. Ross, how would you feel if you continued to stay in that house for 2 more years or 4 more years? How would that affect you and your relationship with your wife? And if he says, well, no, I go, well, then maybe you don't have a very good relationship with your wife, right? But what would you say, right?
I would say, yeah, my sanity needs to be protected, and so does my marriage. So yeah, I need to make a move.
And Ross, could it be possible that prices might go down a little bit? But what I understand is you don't have 6 kids right now, and soon you're going to have 2, right? So this is going to be an ongoing issue or something that we need to solve now because it's not going to get better with time.
Correct. Yeah. And my wife's pregnant, so this is weird.
Yeah. Could it be possible, Ross, that you could buy a house today and the house could go down a little bit in the next year, and then in 5 years it's massively up?
I've seen that, I think. I read an article on that. Zillow told me.
Okay, great. Ross, would it be helpful if I could sit down and show you why this is actually the best time I've seen in many years to purchase a home?
I'd love to know that.
Okay. So, what is that? I mean, am I hard selling, or do I really care about Ross, his family, what's important to him? Right? And I could go on and on and on with this. But the one thing is in our market, it's so easy because we're seeing appreciation. We're still seeing it. You know, could it be possible, Ross, that if you waited 1 year to buy a home in Park City, that you could be 50 on the house you're looking at it, you'll be $59,000 upside down?
That's a risk that I have to weigh. Yeah.
Yeah. Or what would happen if the interest rates actually went down massively, which they're not, but what would happen if they continue to go down a little bit? You know what happens? 2 things. I was a business and economics major. It was a long time ago, but 2 things happen. Number 1, when interest rates go down, prices go up. When interest rates go down and the demand goes up, right? Then the supply goes down, which means you're going to end up with a worse house for you and your family, and you're going to pay more in 6 months or a year. So get good at a few of these very basic things, and man, you'll win. Sorry, or it's 11. It's time right now. So there you go,
Perfect
Mitch.
time. That's it. Awesome. Great job, guys, today. That's good stuff. And we'll see you all next week.